team in professional sports, the Chicago Bears. Colin, everybody's fired up. They got Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams in year 2. Good draft, solid free agency. Well, guess what bettors are doing? The public. They are all over the bets win total, Bears win total over 8.5. Colin, 90% of the bets are on the over 8.5 wins.
Now, are you talking the wise guys or the fans?
These are actual tickets, so probably a lot of fans. 69% of the dollars wagered are on the over. So a lot of fans and some sharps are on the Bears over 8.5.
Okay, so this is my favorite topic we ever do.
Yeah.
In this time of the year is the future bets for fans out there. Futures, the over-under bets. They give you, a win total and a half. You bet over-under. So the Bears are 8.5. I would take the over, knowing the under usually is the better side.
Yeah, it's rare. You never want to tie up your money. I mean, this wouldn't pay out until January of 26.
Oh, I love
you
it.
Shouldn't.
Either does fantasy football, right?
Well, no, but that draft is until like September. Colin, if the quarterback goes down and misses 4 weeks, they ain't hitting the win total over. That's why I don't love these. That being said, can we just wait for the schedule to come out in like 10 days? I'm just telling you, maybe it's less than that. Colin, this is going to be the toughest schedule in the NFL. Please don't tie up your money.
How is a fourth-place team going to have the toughest schedule in the league?
Well, we have the opponents, and when you look
you read them to me last week, and they weren't that tough.
You're going to go like 1-8 on the road.
Read them again to the audience.
All right, now I got to call them up. So
by the way, like one of the teams he threw out there was San Francisco. They were terrible last year.
That was last year. They're going to be good this year. All right, here are the Bears' home and road opponents.
Pause after you say them.
Okay, at home, then we'll go with the division. Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota.
Okay, that's fine. Next.
Thank you.
At home, they get the Cowboys.
Win.
That's a win. They get the New York Giants.
Win.
Cleveland Browns.
When's it get tough? Win.
Well, we don't know.
That's 3 wins. You're telling me it's the toughest schedule in the league, and you just gave me 3 tomato
softening you up. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Win.
Wow. We don't even know if Rodgers is the quarterback.
Yeah.
And the New Orleans Saints.
God, that's the toughest schedule.
Out. That's the home schedule.
Well, yeah, but first of all, that's the easiest home schedule in the league.
That could potentially be 8 wins right there, because you're gonna hope that you're gonna at least be able to split with your division, that you'll at least get 3 wins somewhere, right? Somewhere you'll be able to at least pull off 3 wins. So that's potentially 8 wins just there at home.
Well, except they're going to probably lose 2 of 3 in the division. But okay, on the road, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. That's loss.
No, that's fine if you split those. You beat them at home. Give me the tough ones now.
Baltimore, loss.
Okay, that is a loss.
Bengals, loss.
No, time out. The Bengals, they didn't make the playoffs.
Oh, we got it on the screen now. So what? The Bears didn't make
Go look at what Chicago's done to their roster in the last year, and go look at what the Bengals have done.
At the Eagles, that's a big time.
That's a loss.
Jaden Daniels, that's a loss.
Probably.
Niners lost.
No, slow down. Hey, what time is the Niner game? Because if it's in November and there's an overcast sky, they throw W.
And they got to go to Vegas to play the Raiders. Probably a loss. The Raiders are improved.
This is insane. You're telling me before you started this, I mean, you had this thing being the toughest schedule ever. Then you gave me like 7 bad teams at Soldier Field.
They play in the toughest division in sports. We would agree on that.
Okay. I don't know if they play in the toughest division, because you can start to make the argument that the AFC West is the toughest division, but it doesn't matter. It's definitely not an easy division by no stretch of the imagination. So here's the thing. Listen, is this schedule a walk in the park? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because the Lions are a tough game. The Vikings, whether J.J. McCarthy is great or not, divisional game, still going to be tough. Not going to be a walk in the park. Same thing with the Packers. So we know that those divisional games are going to be tough, really no matter what. And the Ravens will be a tough... Again, even if you don't think that you're going to automatically lose these games, the Eagles will be tough. The Commanders will be tough. The Ravens will be tough. The Bengals will be tough. That's 4 tough games right there. And I do believe that the 49ers will be tough as well. Again, not to say that you're going to lose those games by no stretch of the imagination. The real thing is that they don't have a lot of these easy gimme games. And I'm going to go based off of last season, right? Because I'm not trying to predict who's going to be the easy wins necessarily. But like if we're going off of how it went last year, some of the easy wins were like the Saints, the Jaguars, the Panthers, quite frankly, the Bengals, especially earlier on in the season. Like there was a lot of these gimmies. there's not a lot of games. Even the Giants, I think the Giants are going to be a lot better than they were last year, right? So like even usually a pretty easy game against the Giants is going to be a little bit harder. So from the way how I look at it is the games that they're supposed to win, they have to win. They have to win. I believe that think that they can go, that they can split the division again, at least win 3 games out of the 6. I think that's fair, especially if we're saying that this is going to be a legitimately good to great team. Well, then winning at least 3 games is totally like, I don't think that's that extreme. Then you are better than the Cowboys, so you should beat them. You are better than the Giants, you should beat them. You are better than the Browns, then you should beat them. The Steelers, the Saints. Now, again, it's not to say that you're going to win all those games because we know how the NFL works. We know you lose games that you should win. The Bears know this. They should have beaten the Commanders, quite frankly. I mean, when you lose to a Hail Mary, you should have won that game. So losses, games get away from you. The Bears know that from many examples of last season, quite frankly. There's a handful of them. So we know that can happen. So I think when you do have to play the Eagles, the Commanders, the Ravens, the Bengals, and 49ers, like, you want to make sure that you win those games. When you have the Lions, when you're beating them, you better win that game, okay? You don't let them score 10 points in the final 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and now you lost the game. And now we're saying, how did they just blow that? They were winning the entire time. They were in control. How do you give up, an 80-yard drive in 45 seconds? Like, we can't come away from the game in that, And again, those games always happen sooner, in some moment throughout a season. But when you have those games won, you got to have it. So I do think that they should win. My prediction is that they will win more than, the 8.5, so 9+ wins. But it really will come down to, like, you got to take care of business because there isn't a lot of these. And when it comes down to it, maybe the Saints and the Browns, like, I guess it all depends on who the heck's the quarterback for those teams too. Like that's what also kind of makes it hard. It's like, well, who's the actual quarterback here? There's just you don't have a lot of easy, like, oh yeah, guaranteed wins. New York Giants last year, guaranteed win. Dallas Cowboys with Cooper Rush, guaranteed win. With Spencer Rattler and the Saints, guaranteed win. Jameis Winston and the Browns, guaranteed win. Like, and you could write it in all caps, guaranteed. If you're just a good team, you better win this game. Because if you don't, we have serious problems. Serious problems. The schedule is not filled with those types of games. I think that's really what J-Mac is attempting to say, just doing a terrible job of saying it. But quite frankly, this team should be more functional and be able to win those games where it's like, don't mess it up games, which is, again, Cowboys, Giants, Browns, Steelers, Saints. And again, I think there is a question mark about some of these other teams. What will the Commanders look like? The Bengals, the 49ers, the Raiders. We're pretty confident that the Ravens and the Eagles should be pretty good. I think the order of the schedule will be interesting. I think there's a couple games where if you play them earlier on in the season, definitely benefits the the Chicago Bears. But also, like, this whole automatic away, you're going to lose to the Commanders. I think that's going to be, I think the 2 big games that Ben Johnson is really going to want to win is the Lions, of course, and actually the Commanders. More so than a team like the Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champions. Like, obviously, you're going to want to win those games, but I think there's going to be way more energy and momentum to try to beat the Lions because you want to prove, hey, we can beat the Lions. Like, obviously you want to beat your previous team. And the Commanders, this revenge. Everyone's saying that Jaden Daniels is the second coming. He's the greatest quarterback out of that draft. He should have gone number 1 overall. The Commanders beat you, Hail Mary, etc., etc. The Bears want revenge. Caleb wants revenge. And Ben Johnson is going to be very, very, very in tune to that. And so I think those 3 games, I guess, technically, are going to be gigantic circles on the schedule, more than any of those games. So, I mean, that's the game that I can't wait for, a rematch, honestly, between the Commanders and the Bears. Like, that's even just from, like, an outside looking in. Like, of course, the Lions game is going to be interesting for sure, and I'm going to want to see that too. But, like, that's not really a revenge. That's like, hey, I want to beat my old team. And Ben Johnson and the Lions left on amazing, circumstances. It's not like there's any bad blood there at all, right? This wasn't like kind of like the Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury playing the Arizona Cardinals, where it's kind of like, I want that revenge. Jared Goff and the Lions going up against the Rams, like that's a revenge. I don't feel that way with the Lions. I want to prove my worth and prove my point and beat my previous team, but like I think there's going to be more intensity going up against the Commanders because it's Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and you lost that game that you ended up losing. A lot of people see it as like that was the downfall of the Bears. Like that's when the collapse started to happen for the Bears. So I think there's going to be a ton of energy. I hope it's a little bit earlier on in the season, not too early. I want the Caleb and the Bears to kind of get settled, Ben Johnson to get settled. Like that's a perfect game for like a week 4 or 5 Monday night, Sunday night game. Have everyone a little bit settled, rust off, not too late in the season where people are hopefully ideally not banged up or anything like that. Like that game is going to be one of my favorite games of the season without a doubt. And if I'm feeling that way, I guarantee you so is Ben Johnson, and so is Caleb Williams. So is Jaden Daniels and, the Washington Commanders. So again, you come away with some of those wins, 9 games, easy. You start to drop some of those games, then it's kind of like, the margin of error just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But yeah. So which is why probably the 8.5 win total is probably a good one, because you're imagining this team can win between like 9, 10, 11 games. Anything above that, you're like, this team is absolutely tearing it up, right? Like then this team is actually like a Super Bowl contender right off, from the jump. So I'm super high on the Bears. You guys know that. I've said that as many different ways as I possibly could. So, but now that I'm actually really looking at the schedule, I'm like, oh my God, the divisional games are just juicy. The Commanders game, box office. Outside of the divisional game, I feel like that's like, again, the Eagles and the Bears doesn't move the needle for me. The Bears and the Ravens, Bears and the Bengals, 49ers, Raiders, like, again, those are going to be great games and fun games to watch, not denying it, but like, when you're talking about a team like this, and especially the Bears, who I feel like want this redemption, especially with Caleb and stuff, and Ben Johnson wants to bring the redemption to this team, like, you got to see where the games where there's like the energy there. And again, obviously divisional games, but then it's that Commanders game, man. That Commanders game. Oh, I can't wait. Good on the NFL for making that happen again. Although it should be home game. Wasn't the last game the away game? Weren't they on the road in Washington last time? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears? Are you surprised by so much of the belief that they're going to win the over 8.5? And how do you feel about J-Mac being skeptical that it's going to happen? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.